So once you figure out your evacuation plan, go shopping, get your supplies. You don't want to wait in line when the hurricane's on your doorstep and get to the front of the line and they're out of the stuff you need. And go visit your insurance agent and include flood insurance in that. And finally, strengthen your home. You're going to be much more ready. The stress level goes down in case that hurricane you didn't think ever could come your way. If it does this year, you know what you're going to do.
Welcome back to Hurricane Ready 2015, Prepared for Impact. It's something that thousands and thousands of families have to deal with in the aftermath of a hurricane: insurance. Now, sure, you might have homeowners insurance, but is that enough? In most cases, homeowners insurance doesn't include hurricane-related damages, in particular, hurricane-prone states like Florida. On Your Side's Ken Amaro checks off the next item on the list: know your insurance policies.
As part of your storm preparedness, you have to think about insurance coverage. Because you don't live near the ocean doesn't mean you don't need the proper coverage. In fact, it may give you a false sense of security. So we came here to Brightway Insurance to get you some answers.
Here's a short and effective hurricane insurance checklist. 1. Check for adequate coverage.
When we look to insure, we insure for how much it costs to rebuild when the house is destroyed.
2. Consider flood insurance.
People think if they don't live within the beach community that they don't have to worry about rising water.
3. Check policy for protection from flying objects.
Find out if you have coverage for falling objects on your roof. Sometimes that can be excluded from a policy.
Insurance agent Daniel Miller says planning will avoid the heartaches after the storm.
You need to plan ahead. Call your agent now to order flood insurance. It takes 30 days to go into effect.
A final item for your checklist is create an inventory of what you own, and do it now.
Do you know everything that's in your home, in the back of closets, in the back of drawers? Go through with your smartphone. Take pictures of everywhere in your house. That's not just for the insurance company to prove ownership, but for you so that you can remember what you have in your house. An inventory list is essential.
A short checklist to ensure that you're covered before and after the storm.
It's frustrating. Yes, it is.
Fred Coker has lived in the same house in St. Petersburg for more than 30 years. He remembers how major hurricanes ravaged the state a decade ago, and his insurance premiums?
It went up. Everything went up.
Now, for the first time since those insurance premiums soared, Florida's Hurricane Catastrophe Fund has enough cash in its coffers to pay off everything if we get hit by another round of storms, about $17 billion.
I would hope that they would give homeowners like myself that's been paying all these years some kind of reimbursement.
Coker isn't alone. When rates soared, it changed Jeff Diker's life, forced to buy a smaller home for cash.
On the idea that I could pay for it and not have to buy insurance on it.
There has been some relief. Foreseeing the surplus, Florida stopped collecting a hurricane tax that it had been adding to every home, car, and business policy. But statistics show premiums continue to rise. And despite the Cat Fund surplus, a spokesman for Citizens Insurance says its premiums could remain higher.
Because we have the riskier policies are remaining with Citizens, we may, those folks may not see a rate decrease.
Lower premiums might also help rekindle a recovering real estate market. But a local realtor I spoke with said he doesn't expect it to happen anytime soon. Insurance premiums, he said, are a lot like taxes. Quick to go up, slow to come back down.
Our population is 4 times higher than the last time we had a direct landfalling hurricane. In fact, it's estimated if Dora hit today, we would have $15 billion or more in damage. Even more reason for all of us to stay prepared. Where I'm going to get us all ready with some storm stories you'll never forget, because it only takes one.
I was living down in South Florida at the time, down in West Palm Beach. And first one was Francis. Second one was Jean. I think they hit maybe about a month apart. So it was kind of a double whammy, bam, bam. It was interesting. I can guarantee you, if you think you've got enough supplies, just get double. We ran out of just about everything. Francis lasted about 3 days. So we were kind of just stuck in our apartment and not able to get out, and yeah, you needed extra supplies. You're going to need patience. You're going to need patience before and after the storm. So it's There's a lot of anticipation leading up to the storm, and people are nervous and fearful leading up to the storm, and you just have to be patient. Everyone needs to get gas in their cars. Everyone needs to make sure they have water and food for their families. So you just have to be as patient as you can be. It is always better to be prepared. So there is nothing worse than thinking, oh, it's not going to be a big deal, this is no problem. And then being with your family trapped and scared, it's just better to be prepared.
The last hurricane to hit Florida was in October 2005, and Gino Ramirez tells us about an experience he will never forget.
Never underestimate the force of wind and rain. The one thing about this particular storm that we did not know about was that if you had a tiny little crack through either your doors or your windows, your house would behave like a big balloon that kept inflating and inflating until it would explode. And we had those cracks. The double doors kept bending, and you could hear the wind coming through. We didn't know what this would result in until we heard an explosion downstairs. One of the windows went out, and we didn't know what it was. Our kids were little, so there was a lot of commotion going on. We ran downstairs and realized that one of the kitchen windows had been broken. But what surprised us was not so much what had happened, but where it happened, because it was on the inside of the window, not on the outside.
Wow.
You know, the one thing you would expect is that something like a projectile is going to come through the shutters, is going to break through that metal, but not this time. It was the pure wind force that came inside the house, and it shattered that window.
Hurricanes have many threats, not just wind and water.
It only takes one. When you've been through one, it's the scariest thing.
Here comes a heavy rain.
Before we lost electricity, just turning on the TV and seeing nothing but tornadoes everywhere, because you're thinking, oh, I'm this far away from it, it's not really going to impact me like it is somebody that's on the coast or right there in the path of it. And it was just horrendous. You went to the store, there's nothing on the shelves.
Charlie met another Charlie face to face, and it was not a pleasant encounter.
And it definitely only takes one hurricane. Once you see the type of damage it does in your neighborhood, you would definitely take all types of weather reports serious. I mean, some really bad damage on people's roofs and their pool lanai screens were getting taken off. At first, when we went through the hurricane, we didn't think a lot of it, so we didn't want to panic the kids and all, but once we've seen it and went through it, now we're definitely going to be prepared, and we're going to get out of Dodge quickly. Once everyone tells us time to leave and evacuate, we're heading that way.
And Lindsay, you showed those hurricane predictions for this year, and they're going to be below average?
Yeah, but they're just predictions. You can't forget that it does only take one.
Hurricane Sasser makes landfall in Florida. It's only a drill, but it could be a reality. Next, a look at what state, local, and federal agencies are doing to prepare. And what will you say to your kids? The advice to give to your children in preparation for a storm.